Children are the first target of these images. They must be made stupid, bereft of any reflective and critical thinking. All this is done with the disconcerting complicity of their parents, who have surrendered to the modern communication apparatus. They themselves buy the commodities that enslave their offspring. They abdicate their role in their children's education and entrust it to a mediocre and stultifying system. There are images for all ages and for all social classes. Modern slaves mistake those images for culture and at times for art. The market relies on the basest impulses to sell any commodity. It is women, doubly enslaved in today's society, who pay dearest. In it, she is reduced to being a mere object of consumption. The image of uprising has also been divested of its subversive potential. The image is today the simplest and most effective form of communication. It creates role models, it stultifies the masses, it lies to them, and it breeds frustrations in them. The mercantile ideology is disseminated repeatedly through the use of the image. Its objective is always the same: to sell, be it ways of life or products, behaviors or commodities. No matter what, sell. These unfortunate slaves entertain themselves, but the entertainment serves only to distract them from the ills that plague them. Slaves have left their lives in the hands of others to do whatever they will and pretend to take pride in it. They affect satisfaction, but nobody believes it. Even before the cold reflection of the mirror, they fail to fool themselves. They pilfer their time watching idiots who make them laugh, sing, dream, or cry. The sports media becomes a channel through which slaves feel the success, failure, effort, and victory they no longer experience in the flesh. They live by proxy in front of the television set. While the emperors of ancient Rome lulled their people into submission with the promise of bread and games, today's acquiescence is procured through entertainment and the consumption of emptiness. The domination of consciousness is the result of the misuse of language by the social and economic ruling class. As the masters of all means of communication, the power elite disseminate the market ideology through the fixed, partial, and concocted meaning it gives to words. Words are invoked as neutral and their definition is evident. However, when controlled by power, words fix a very different meaning to the reality of life. It is primarily a language of resignation and impotence. It is the language of passive acceptance of things as they are and should remain. Words are the lackeys of the dominant system of life. Our use of the power's language condemns us to impotence. The resolution of the language issue is at the core of the struggle for the emancipation of humankind. It is not an additional form of domination, but the heart itself of the totalitarian mercantile system's project to enslave. It is by reappropriating language and thus communication among people that the possibility of radical change arises. In this way, the revolutionary and the poetic converge. In the collective effervescence, the spoken word is reinvented by a myriad of groups. Spontaneous creativity is within us all and is a force for unity. Despite his bonds, the modern slave is convinced of his citizenship. The illusion of choice and free determination is fueled by the ability to vote and freely elect those who will conduct his affairs. When it comes down to deciding the society we want to live in, is there really any fundamental difference between the Social Democrats and the populist right in France? Between Democrats and Republicans in the United States, between Labor and Conservatives in the United Kingdom? There is no opposition, because the main political parties agree on one essential thing: the conservation of the present mercantile society. None of the political parties that enter into power question the commodities dogma. And those political parties with media complicity monopolize the airwaves. They squabble about trite matters ensuring the status quo. They fight over who will hold the seats that the mercantile parliamentary offers. Those petty disputes are disseminated by the media as a distraction from the critical debate about the election of the society we want to live in. Appearance and triviality eclipse the confrontation of ideas. None of this resembles, not even from afar, a democracy. Real democracy is defined, firstly, by the mass participation of citizens in the governance of community affairs. It is direct and participative. The popular assembly and the permanent dialogue about the organization of a common life are democracy's most authentic expressions. Representative and parliamentarian forms of government usurp the name of democracy, limiting the power of citizens to the simple act of voting, that is, to nothing. Deciding between light gray and dark gray is not a real election. Parliamentarian seats are mainly occupied by the dominant economic class, be it the right or the pseudo-leftist social democrats. Power is not to be conquered, it is to be destroyed. It is tyrannical by nature, whether exercised by a king, a dictator, or an elected president. The only difference with a parliamentarian democracy is that the modern slave has the illusion of choosing the master he will obey. The vote has made him an accomplice to the tyranny that oppresses him. He is not a slave because masters exist. Masters exist because he elects to remain a slave.